All right, I'm going to answer a question almost every applicant is thinking, but doesn't ask me directly. Do you actually need coaching to become a firefighter? Or can you realistically do it yourself? I'm going to give you a straight answer because sometimes you genuinely don't need it, but most people misunderstand when that is. And here's the truth. People absolutely have gotten into the fire service without coaching. It does happen. The problem is applicants look at those stories and then they assume, well, if they did it alone, I probably can too. But you're missing the part that actually matters, who those people are. You probably don't need coaching if you already understand exactly what each stage is assessing. You know how to communicate structured examples. You naturally interview well under pressure. You perform well in group assessments, and you're already competitive academically for aptitude testing. In other words, you don't just want the job, you already behave like a strong candidate. Those people absolutely exist, but they're rare. Most applicants think the process is study, pass the aptitude, do fitness, interview, get hired. That's totally logical, and it's also incorrect. The aptitude test is not the selection, it's the filter. Thousands apply, hundreds pass, very few are actually competitive, and where most applicants struggle is not effort, it's specific preparation. So here's what actually happens. Someone prepares alone, they study maths and practice questions, they pass the aptitude test and they feel confident, and then they reach the interview or the group stage and generally realize the service isn't assessing knowledge, it's assessing behavior, communication, decision-making, situational awareness, team contribution. Those are not things you just suddenly wake up or perform well under pressure if you've never trained them before. And that's where most eliminations occur. There's a very understandable reason people attempt it themselves first, and it's they don't want to invest until they know they're capable. Here's the paradox to that. The stage that proves you're capable is the stage that eliminates unprepared candidates. So the first attempt becomes a learning attempt, and then they come back a year later and say, I wish I understood the standard earlier. I hear that more times than necessary. The real question isn't, can I get in without coaching? The real question is, do I already know exactly how competitive I currently am? Because if you already meet the standard, you might not need help. But if you don't know the standard, you are just guessing and throwing darts in the dark. And firefighter recruitment is one of the most competitive selection processes in the country. Guessing is expensive in time. Before you decide how to prepare, first make sure you actually understand what the service is selecting for. Because once applicants see the real standard, they don't prepare harder, they prepare differently. And that's usually what determines whether somebody gets in early or they keep reapplying.